Alrighty. So week 5 is done. Week 6 is heading at us. Week 6, way important for our class because, of course, the dev zero, our development, where we're actually coding something. And first, I'd like to say I really appreciate the diligence that the students in this class show. You all typically post your work early on. A majority of you, I mean, like 95% of you are getting the work done. So just thank you for that. That's awesome. So as we come into this week, right, keep in mind that you have 2 parts, right? One is I'm going to ask you to do something on your local system, and you'll have to, and I want you to demonstrate that you can do the Git workflow. And then, of course, the part where you're writing code. And I went over this as an example last week of mine. And the thing I'd like you to know is that I didn't show you that example, meaning yours has to be like mine at my level of, because some of you can probably write code better than what I did, and some of you probably are challenged to write that code. That wasn't the idea. The idea was just to show you an implementation of Dev Zero. One of the things I do that helps me teach programming better is I do it myself. So one of the things I think I'm going to do next week if I have time, and I say that because so many of you wonderfully signed up to do your code review or to get assistance before the actual due date for this item. So that's great. But my goal is actually to take my dev example from my JavaScript class and convert it over to Python. And in that, use the new naming standard that Isaac recommended, which is the PEP8. I'm not going to be requiring that. I typically use the JavaScript coding standard. So I totally am open to learning something new. That's just if you're in programming, if you're teaching, if you're learning it, whatever aspect, we're always learning new concepts, implementing new things into our code, using new tools. That is just a part of this industry, right? So, here's your input. Here's your requirements for what that looks like, right? Yeah, so I actually give you a percentage, which might be a little confusing, like 90% of this. So if you find there's something in here where you're just like, based on my concept, it's, maybe there's one of these that I can't do. Well, that's okay. I would say try them all, right? And some of the most important ones would be looping and list, doing the error checking. Those are really important. Writing functions, flow control. God, they're all important. So I think I just threw that at the end just to kind of give you an out in case either that concept just didn't land for you, which I would say try to go back and get some more. There's so much good content. As a matter of fact, I've mentioned this before, and I'm definitely looking to change the Python course that I'm using. There's some really good stuff out there that I'm going to be changing. Plus, as I move into the fall 2021 and then on, I'm going to be changing this course to run parallel with machine learning. So there's a lot about this course that will change, but as it should with anything, just because as you learn more, as you write more, you learn different ways to teach these concepts and newer material gets created. Okay, so the thing I just want to say, right, is that I know that this week coming up can cause a certain amount of anxiety, right? Anytime we're asked to actually write something, it's like you have to take a concept that you've come up with and implement that thing into code. And it's meant to be a challenge, but it's not meant to be overwhelming. But I also know that because we all come at this in different levels and different time, like your time is different, this could be a different experience for you. So here's what I want to say. If you had hoped to get in to see me to do an assistance or do a review before that due date. I've already had one student reach out to me. I mentioned this in the video. And since now we've had a few days and already that schedule is filled up, mostly with the students from Python, which is awesome. But if some of you didn't get into that, please reach out to me and I'll do my best to work with you. It really works better if you give me some heads up. Like asking me at 5 o'clock to meet with you at 8 is probably not going to work, mostly because I have family commitments and I'm not a late night person. But if that's absolutely the only time, give me a little more heads up so I can either rearrange what might already be on my schedule. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So that's what's coming up this week. The work that you all did last night doing the calisthenics with arrays was good. Most of you included the part that I wanted, which was, were you able to do it on your own? And some of you, though, missed that, which you lost a few points for that. And I wasn't so like, if I just saw in your writing that you had thought about and actually laid out some of the way your Dev 1, how you were going to approach it, and the more specific you were, the better it is for you, quite honestly. If you've thought through how you want your program to run, which was, again, the reason I showed my Dev 0 for last week, right? So just know that that was a good opportunity. And if you want to increase that detail, it is good to do that, because the more detail you've thought through, then what you're doing is really just coding, implementing that concept. Do make sure you put this work in your private repo under a directory called dev, and I say this in here, so make sure you catch it, and then under a subdirectory called dev_0. So we'll have 0, 1, and 2. So we have 3 of these a semester. Again, this is our first one. So after this one, you'll have a much better idea and feel for what these are like. And hopefully you've given it the time and to actually do well. It's 50% of this class, all 3 of them together. So it does weigh 16% for each one on your grade. So it is an important part of your grade. But I find it more important, it's an important part of your journey to be able to write code based on a concept that you have in your head. Okay? All right, enjoy. And it is Friday. This is a campus holiday. I'm just getting the morning videos done. I'm pretty much done at this point. And we have 3 family birthdays this weekend. So my schedule is way booked. I'll be back on Tuesday. Reach out if you want to, again, schedule something that, if in that schedule, like I said, is full. Do know that you still need to turn in code by next Thursday night, right? And when I wake up in the morning, it needs to be there. If you submit it after that, it's late. I just give you a little more time to get in and do the code review. Okay? This is your code, right? This is code you write, not code you find on the internet. It is code you write. All right, have a great one. Peace out.